Good day, good evening, good morning, good night. Wait, don't go to bed just yet. Stay up a while and listen to me talk. What is my gift of knowledge? Before I had read the Bible, I was visited by the Holy Spirit who gave me a gift in my heart, a little ball of light, and the word flashed in my mind and it said, knowledge. And I said, knowledge of what? And I didn't hear or see any answer to that. But now in reflection, I want to think about what I know about God. So what do I know from my experiences, supernatural, fantastic, about God? So I made a little list. First of all, I think it's important to... Yeah, they're on my phone because I'm modern. First of all, I think it's important to acknowledge that I didn't intend to fall into this debate of are gifts of the Spirit real? Is any of this real? Which I know is interdenominationally kind of a problem area. So I wasn't trying to find an answer. I didn't have a side. But now I've received a gift in a way that's comical because I understand that people pray for words of knowledge or for wisdom in a general sense. And so how funny is it that when I felt and saw and experienced him giving me something, that he had to just say knowledge along with it, like in a little, word art banner to accompany it. By the way, that's knowledge. So that when I did eventually find that in the Bible, I would equate the two, right? So this is how he's helping me help us, which is great. So I happen to know they're real, but I wasn't trying to make them real. You know what I mean? What do I know about God through my experiences? I know that again, I really want everyone to see this through the lens of I hadn't picked up a Bible. I had, but it was boring and I maybe read a couple of verses. I really want people to know that so that they can notice that I'm not trying to fit the bill. I wasn't trying to fit any bill. I didn't ask for this. I don't want to be out here talking about this particularly, like, whatever. But now I know that there's peace that surpasses all understanding, which is what I've found, obviously, in quoting from the Bible. How do I know that? Because, as I described in my testimony video with A Stronger Faith, I felt a peace that was timeless. And I had experienced timelessness before when I went to Peru to do ayahuasca. And I experienced that sense of, whoa, time is really stretched out. Like, this feels like it's been 1,000 years type of trippy feeling. But never in 15 minutes had I known that all the past, all the present, and the future was just okay, like it's all okay. So that was peace. I know that's real. I also know that he can hear the prayer in my head. So I didn't say anything out loud. It was in my head that experience happened. And therefore, hey, part 2. We're back, part 2. So I know that he can hear prayer in my head. Cool. I think that's really important when we talk about thoughts and the tongue biblically as well. People talk about Jesus himself has a sword and the word cuts, and the way we use even just an idiom out of context of the Bible to say, oh, she's sharp-tongued or something. It's like they're two different realms, right? This inner and outer world of how we communicate. I happen to know now that the prayer I said in my head was answered, and therefore he's that intimate with you. He's right there with you as much as he is anywhere else, walking beside you. There's that level to the relationship as well. What else do I know about this experience? I know that the Holy Spirit loves to read the Bible. What does that mean? It just means that when I was on fire for the Bible, it felt like he so loved to read it through him, because I guess of the nature of the truth of it, that it was enlivening and enriching, which you might have experienced if you fellowship with other people who are dwelling in Jesus and who have the Holy Spirit on their side in that way. There's that fire and that aliveness, which I experienced when the Holy Spirit through me was reading the Bible. He's like showing me, like, look, isn't this great? So I know that the Holy Spirit loves to read the Bible through us. But back to the hearing prayer in my head. Yeah, I just think that's important. I treat that as I'm gonna approach the prayers I say in my head differently to the ones I say out loud. I might grumble way more in my prayer in my head. Do my complaining type prayers up there. I don't know, this is just me. But then the ones I say out loud, because we're aware of the power of the tongue and the nature of the tongue, I keep those real clean, The ones I say out loud are trying to be in the authority given to us, as well as the thanksgiving, the joy, and the positive aspects of how we receive grace. Another thing I know about God, I know He's real. So that's great. I know the Holy Spirit is real. I know gifts of the Spirit are real. I know that He cares for the lowly and broken. Yeah, that's true. I wasn't anywhere else but in absolute destitution and suffering when He said it's okay, So with that in mind, where do we see Him work most? We know that it's important for us to be on the field, so to speak, down in those areas, helping people in a very real way. We know that's important, and we hear a lot of stories of, if you want to see Jesus at work every day, go to the shelter, or go see Him transform people's lives, because where He needs it and where He's received, that's a place that you can see God working in miraculous ways. And I know that He loves me, because otherwise why would He do any of that? It's not the angle that you come in and give somebody a timeless peace because you're trying to manipulate them into some other setting that you've orchestrated. Like, if I show him this peace now, he'll become racist one day. He'll become an extremist. So is He not that? It's about love, So I don't feel manipulated at all. I feel confused at times, like, okay, so you did that for me because, do you want me to do something? Like, what are we doing here? Why keep me alive? Type of thing, That can be confusing when it's mixed in with some shame too, but those things of the past I found them really easy to let go of for a time. It was so easy to take my thoughts captive when I was going through that experience. I was being so kindly helped that anything to do with the past, anything to do with this, like, labels I gave myself, were just realigned through Jesus, like, immediately in my head. And it was so freeing, it freed me up to be in the moment, which is what the New Age people search for with the power of now, and they search for living in the moment and Zen. But yeah, I found that really easy. Gosh, does that mean I know something else about God too? I guess it does. I know that He really doesn't want us looking back, because He gave me love and joy in the present. I know that, I guess I'm making a list of things I know to assure you as well, if you haven't had things like that experienced directly, and most of you have, which is great. So, hey, me too. But if you haven't, I just want you to know that too. Just how true that is. I know He lives in a state of forgiveness for us all. And I know that you can be delivered from a spirit of unforgiveness. I know that He lives in a state of forgiveness. Yeah, when He put the lens over my eyes so I'm referencing the testimony video. But one thing that happened to me was I went to work one day, prayed for Jesus' protection and presence as I went into this place. And as I stepped in, everyone in the building there, and there's a lot of people working there, but I could just see this like spark. It sounds like I was just high or something, right? That's the closest cheap way to reference it. But it was like, well, I really see how He loves you. You, and you. It took all of my like fleshly opinion away from everyone, and He just showed me this love that's for everyone. So I know that He loves everyone, and that only exists through a perpetual state of forgiveness, just like it does for us too. Which is why we're called to forgive, because then we're in a true reflection of His love for us. And also that was really beautiful and key in how my wife and I were interacting at the time. She had said a couple of times that the way I was interacting with her was so genuinely free of judgment, and genuinely forgiving of her, that it was transformative for her. This was before, in the weeks in between, I've had an encounter with the Holy Spirit, and then, I'm giving my life to Jesus. In this time span, my life was changing through His help. And that was really important to her. Your mind can be the hands that knead the dough of your heart, massaging it into forgiveness. Okay, sure. Now I'm just riffing on my phone here. I'm just talking about the, I guess I'm thinking about mantras here, and how, I don't know, I like it though, it sounds good. Your mind can be the hands that knead the dough of your heart, massaging it into forgiveness. Yeah, it's just like a gentle process, isn't it? It's a gentle, loving process of just like massaging someone else. Love your heart into forgiveness. Whew, is that interesting? Is that true? Is that biblical? I'm just going to read what's on my phone then. We'll just take that for what it is. If I forsook, I forgot that was a word for a second. If I forsook the state of unforgiveness, then I did so through unprepared naivety as to what was possible, and then through muscle memory formed by the culture. Culturally, we form our minds to expect perhaps pessimistic outcomes, or we remember how our flesh hungers. What will the culture of the kingdom age be? Okay, hold on a second. So when I say if I forsook the state of unforgiveness, because I grumble now again, and I take things on, I get offended by things. So if I forsook that, if it was something that I could have just had, and He wasn't intending to take it away or leave with His help, then if I forsook it, I did so through unprepared naivety as to what was possible, and through muscle memory formed by the culture. Yeah, that's true. I mean, how different could life be? Do you ever think that day to day? Do you ever think, well, it's weird that we're all out here with our brands, and it's a Pepsi, and just the way our culture is set up, that we all recognize, and it makes our days go by faster because we're all in the flow of the company culture we live in. My question is just, what would the culture be like in either heaven or the kingdom age or whatever godly state? What are we thinking about? Because if the garbage is all cleaned up, we're not going to be thinking about 99% of what we think about now. To make a general statement, what are we actually going to be putting our minds to use for? be something else to what we typically do, right? And forsaking that unforgiveness, did I do it through a remembered experience of pessimistic outcomes? Because as well, I was really in shock by how I now felt and was feeling at the time. And I think that shock, I wanted to like test it with my experience, and all my life experience had been as an unsaved person, right? So I'm like, wait, how does this feel compared to that? And I did start to look into the past because I needed to hold it up against something. Do you know what I mean? I needed to say, what is this? What is this different feeling? Is this real? What's happening? Type of questions. And so I started to look back, you know, and perhaps therefore invited the past into the present, where I really didn't want it, but I also didn't, like, my body didn't recognize where I was. So the question is just, what would the culture be like in the kingdom? Leave a comment on that. That'd be cool, hey? Like, what minutiae of our lives could and will look different? Like, we know we're not going to have what's this, LED flickering lights that are doing damage to our vessels. We know, like, just little stuff like that. Incandescent bulbs, we don't even need those at that point. So yeah. And then my last note here for today is just, you're saved, congrats. But here's why you're not enough. Do better, think more, consider this, consider that, figure this out. I also have the answer. I too have the answer. This is me going back to this idea that you, people have almost commodified in this, to me, I'm going to be a bit rude and say this Americanized way, sorry, of commodifying things, that when I scroll through my feed, like I said in the last video, oh, you have products for being saved. Weird, man. But I'm not saying don't do that, because I don't know. Like, what's your journey? That's how you spread it. Great, good for you. But just that is a strange experience to walk into, because it's such an intimate, one-on-one relationship. And then we bring it to the public sphere, and now you're expected to go and buy my music, by the way, and my songs, you know, or my t-shirt. I'm going to bring some t-shirts out, or my book. Well, that's the world we live in, I suppose. But it did weird me out to have something so beautiful and precious show up neatly packaged, you know, in a thumbnail by a social media graduate. It's just funny. It's just strange. Well, I know how we'll feel in this new Kingdom Age culture, relieved. We probably don't have to deal with any sales. There's going to be no door-to-door. Unless it's Satan. Wait, what's that about? Because there's this thing where he's going to come back for a minute, right? He's going to get really upset for a minute. Well, generally there's going to be no salespeople to deal with. I hope you're happy about that. I am. So those are some things I know about God. I hope this isn't just for me, and that in a moment of trouble I'm not just looking back on this to remind myself, but I hope it's also useful to you. Thanks for watching. Do some more of these. Oh yeah, by the way, this episode is called Me Sitting on the Couch, episode 2. It's a different couch, did you notice? I'm in the basement today. It was super hot, and I'm cooling off. Ooh, mama. Keep it cool. Alright, I'll see you later.